It's so useful to have
I
that
know.
journal to like be able to go back and remember these ideas and
Yeah. Yeah.
follow yourself.
And so I didn't tell you about this journal entry that I had written yesterday. But as I know you know me, but the people watching and listening, I don't want to label myself as this anymore because I am trying not to place labels on myself. But in the past, I have tended to be pretty anxious.
Okay, yeah.
With everything.
I would agree.
But I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I feel I've come a long way. And it's silly because I loved and do love the versions of me that were really anxious because she got me to this point, and I'm able to recognize and help her through these anxious times if they arise, meaning anytime during a day or a week or a month that it may be. I feel better equipped to handle. Mm-hmm. But yesterday I had found myself really, really struggling with slowing down. And I tend to be a person who likes to be productive. Like first thing in the morning, I'll get up and I will be organizing the living room. I'll empty the dishwasher. I'll wash dishes, whatever it may be. It's like, it's how I've lived. And I don't think I'm the only person that is like that. So I just like, I'm someone who I have to feel like I'm being productive because it's familiar to me. There's a safety around doing as opposed to slowing down and being. And it's something that I've worked on and am continually working on. But what it was journaling about yesterday was I was grappling with the fact of how much I needed to do. There's a lot that's changing within our business, within ourselves, and I'm really excited about it. So I want to do these things. But I felt so uncomfortable that even the thought of doing something for the website was giving me anxiety. But I knew I needed to do it. So in the past, what I would have done was just do it. I would have sucked it up and done it. But I feel that has not gotten me the best results. It hasn't made me feel good. It has only almost like depleted my energy as opposed to raising it and giving me like life force.
Yeah, because you're like putting resistance on something at the same time that you're trying to do it.
Yes. And even knowing that I could be doing other small tasks not related to business or work or anything like that, like washing the dishes, doing the laundry, organizing something. Like
all your favorite stuff.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And again, it doesn't necessarily calm me down because my energy is going into something else, and all I'm doing is like taking away from what actually needs to happen. And for myself, what I realized what actually needs to happen is sit down and do nothing. Like the reason why I'm anxious is because like I'm trying to predict some sort of outcome in the future that hasn't happened yet. So I'm putting my attention into doing stuff because hopefully that's going to get me more business. It's going to get me more clients. It's going to get me something that's a future result. And I'm not grounded in the present moment. And it's taken me probably over 5 years to realize this. That what I thought was helping calm me down by doing, like just putting my attention into another task because it felt productive to me, was actually like stripping away the truth of my being, which just needed to like rest and relax and center herself, ground into the present moment, sit wherever it may be, and like close my eyes and shut off the world around me. Because when my eyes are open, I have found that they go in so many different directions. It's almost like I'm looking and finding things to do with my eyes open. So it's like I need to shut them, whether I do need to like sit formally and meditate to ground myself, or if I just sit on the couch for 5 minutes and close my eyes and center myself with my breath.
Mm-hmm.
Like breathing has been my best friend in calming my anxiety and my nerves and feeling so stressed, because the breath I have found when I'm able to sit down in those moments of the chaos that I'm creating in my mind is the breath knows where to go just intelligently to calm myself within my body.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's not like, this is something that other people are going through too.
Do you feel
this way? I do. It's not exactly the same, but I think that this is like almost universal in a sense, because I get this feeling of, I don't know how to describe. I'm going to back it up. Alan Watts has a quote, but probably not going to get it exactly right, but it's like, the purpose of life is to live. And that we run around trying to do things and accomplish things. And that's like what I'm thinking. Like, that's like the image that I have right now. Because what I was trying to say is, like, I find myself, like, I get out of balance.
Yeah.
And I get pulled in a direction, or I like fall in a direction, basically, of like trying to, like, chasing after something, trying to accomplish something that will bring me balance. When balance is like an internal thing, which, like you said, it's like getting centered. It's either breathing or meditating. And I have found also, I think that I get into these like moods, or I don't know if moods may be the right word, but I have this feeling of like I'm lost. And if you imagine being in like a maze and you're lost and you keep scrambling down the hallway, or whatever you'd call the path in a maze, getting further and further away from where you want to be,
yes,
and getting more and more lost.
Yeah.
When the exit is right in your heart. It's in the middle. So at any time, you always have that option, I think, of just being and just being yourself and just breathing. Like you said, the breath knows where to go, because that's all it does. The breath always goes. We just have a story in our mind that there's something more important than our breath.
Yeah. And I honestly think this was also part of the journal from yesterday that I was writing, is that I didn't realize I felt this way and felt so anxious within my body because I had shot my nervous system to hell.
You're just like numb to it.
Exactly. And I think that is just what I want to bring attention to other people. Like, I didn't know, like, I ran, like, this is my whole life. I'm getting better at it, but it takes time, because my nervous system wants to be in balance, in homeostasis. That's all it is, but it dictates everything. But when I basically trained my nervous system to feel constant stress and anxiety, and that if I wasn't doing something, it didn't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I had to cultivate a better way for my body to understand safety and what that meant, and how grounding myself in the present moment and actually slowing down and doing nothing is going to be beneficial, as opposed to moving from one thing to another. And even I thought I would be slowing down at times if I had, 10 or 15 minutes here or there, and I'd be like, I'll just sit and scroll on social media. It's like that too. No, it was not helping me whatsoever, because social media can be so triggering. It can be very all over the place. And like I said, when my eyes were opened, focusing on something else that was external as opposed to what my internal state was, I was only causing my nervous system to be more like hyper vigilant and always on the lookout, always doing things. So I think like being able to regulate nervous systems is so underrated.
Yeah.
That's we won't get into that in this talk because that's definitely like another episode. But I think we're not taught that. This like it's this primal need to just keep like surviving instead of like thriving.
But we also grow up like, and so many of us have like anxious parents and anxious friends and anxious teachers, and everything is about like, what have you done? What have you accomplished? What are you gonna do next? And we're so like indoctrinated and conditioned to be on the go, because if you do like I'm just gonna sit. People are like, what's with this weirdo? Like if you just go sit on a bench and don't look at your phone, don't read anything, just stare straight ahead and just sit on a bench, people will like grab their kids and walk away. Like people do not want to be near the guy who's just sitting on a park bench, just like having a great time, just sitting, being himself. But it's like that's such a like the ability to just sit and be fine is so important.
Yeah.
An interesting observation, listening to you kind of talk about this.
Okay.
What kind of jumps out at me is a really cool sign of growth.
Okay.
I think is that what you used to find comfort in is like the distraction of doing things is now causing you anxiety because you've recognized that that's not who you want to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So I feel like this is what's happening. Is like before, even just like a few months ago, probably, you would have been like a pig in shit. Just like, I gotta do stuff, and as soon as I finish this, I'm gonna go wash the dishes, and everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna fold the laundry, everything's good, and just completely distract yourself and block yourself off from the sitting and being yourself, being alone with your thoughts or being alone with yourself.
Yeah.
And now your body's like, can we just be alone again?
Yeah.
That's what I miss. So it's like definitely a sign of slowing down and of like waking up kind of and recognizing who you are and what you're doing, which I think is awesome.
Thank you.
That's a really cool sign of growth.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that I am really leaning into being my own best friend, being alone, sitting with myself. Like I really have been trying to practice that, and I do feel it is helping. And I'm grateful to have it. I feel like we always say this. It just comes down to awareness.
Yeah, it really does.
We always, talking to people, how do you do this? How do you do becoming aware? Just try to become more aware of who you are, and in the moments that you either feel there's a need to change or stay the same, like there's no right or wrong. It's just becoming aware of everything around you. And I mean, that also takes practice, and I'm still like, I had journaled about this yesterday. I'm becoming more and more aware. I'm becoming more aware of the things that don't work and the things that do work, or the things that work some of the times. And it's like, okay, that's an opportunity to learn and to grow and to get feedback, because I'm also getting much better at receiving, not necessarily criticism, but opinions or helpful tips from other people. Because what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. Right. But if I'm not doing something, or someone has an idea that's like, oh, this has been really useful for me, great, tell me. So that's what I want to share too, is if this is maybe useful to you, if it gives you really severe anxiety to be like, oh shit, no, I cannot sit with myself for 5 minutes. I'd argue maybe you need to.
Yeah, that's I forget whose quote that is. Where it's like everybody needs to meditate 15 minutes a day. Unless you don't have 15 minutes, then you need to meditate for an hour.
Exactly,
something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm just trying to be silly there, because I was that person. I was like, fuck it, I'm not meditating. I can't do it. And it was like the one thing that has been the most beneficial for me is meditating, because it's allowed me to observe and become aware of the thoughts that are running in my mind, and giving them the space to come and go, and allowing them to just go through my mind and then exit. Because another thought's gonna pop in, and then it's like just happening.
Yeah, but you get to kind of cultivate the awareness of who are you in relation to your thoughts, and that you're not your thoughts.
Yeah.
You said in the beginning that like you used to identify yourself as being anxious, and that now you're changing the way that you identify yourself, which is huge. But having the awareness to recognize when you do feel anxious, and having the awareness of like, okay, like, where is this coming from? How is this anxiety serving me? How is this, what is this telling me in this moment? As opposed to like, yeah, anxiety, that's my friend. This is what we do. We're going to go out into town together and go do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, it's not. This isn't your friend. It's just, it's a signal.
Yeah.
It's not like something you need to wear or be.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it subsided. I journaled at that moment, which is also another huge tool. Like, what's in you, like, get it out on paper if you feel that that's the way, or whatever means is right. But sitting and listening to it and being able to be with it. Also just like lets it be and doesn't, what I have found, it doesn't consume me and debilitate me like it used to.